as we're going through the pandemic, we are also now in the month of September, and month of September is Suicide Prevention Month. And this is an issue that is a particularly sensitive one as we're going through the pandemic. I think many of us are aware of, if not maybe even experiencing ourselves, some of the stresses and strains of the pandemic. And that's brought an extra new anxiety to many of our families. And so it's important for us to be sensitive about what's going on in ourselves as well as our families, and also what's going on in society, and what can we do to be brothers and sisters with one another. And so I've invited Lori Lipsmeyer, who is the Pastoral Care Coordinator for the Diocese of Sacramento, to talk to us a little bit about some of those stresses and strains and how we can help manage that with ourselves as well as with one another. And hopefully not only improve the quality of life, but maybe even save lives. So, Lori, thank you very much for joining me this morning.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
So what are the concerns for, in regards to mental health as we go into this pandemic?
Well, one of the major protective factors for mental health and our general well-being is a feeling of connectedness. And so we are all struggling right now, everyone, with just a different level of connectedness with other people, and really are challenged in the ways that we can connect with other people. Whereas we used to be able to have like our groups that we would go to, our classes, our Bible studies, our just social functions, and all those are really good ways to connect with people. Now those are taken out in a lot of people's lives. And so that is missing, and it's a huge factor in people's mental health. And so there's a lot more depression and anxiety. As a mental health, as a therapist, we're seeing a lot more people struggling really in a lot of ways, just with mental health, but also just with that withdrawal, that isolation they're experiencing because of the pandemic.
Is there also, too, on the other side of that, Lori, that, again, also many families are, how should I say, they're sheltering in home, and so they're perhaps spending more time together than they've normally done. And sometimes that, hopefully that's a blessing in many cases, but it also can be an added strain, and how to manage some of the the conflicts or inconveniences that can sometimes take place during the day, and how to manage those things in a healthy way. Any thoughts about that?
Yes, sure. I think that has been a blessing for a lot of people, that they're becoming closer, just with their family of origin, who they're living with. And one thing that really requires is a lot of extra patience, because everybody is just dealing with a little bit more to cope with. And so we really can connect with each other, with our family members, and help each other along. And some of the ways that we can do that really is to just give some extra time to that, pay attention to making a connection with those people that we're living with, and really sitting down and having those one-on-one conversations, or, even in a family, a group, not only talking just at dinner, but throughout the day, and really looking at people in the eye and asking what's happening with whatever they're doing with the kids with school, or at work, or whatever it is, and just really making that connection. And also, something that's really important in this time is to focus on some fun activities, things that bring us joy, because activities that bring us joy bring also really pleasant feelings, and we just need that right now. And so if as a family you can do something that's fun, play games, or just even tell stories. Kids love to hear stories of grandparents or aunts and uncles and just family. And or just do hobbies, just even as individuals. You know, if you enjoy reading, this is the time to be reading. If you enjoy gardening, whatever it is, knitting, crocheting, working on cars, this is the time to be doing that kind of thing. And dads, if you enjoy working on cars, have your sons in there, you know, working right beside you. And it's a wonderful time to be able to teach. I know with my kids, I'm having them each cook a meal with me.
Oh,
And they've never done that before, and it's like, come on in. What do you want to make tonight? And we make dinner together. So it's an added bonus of parents teaching skills to their kids that maybe they didn't have time for before.
you know, in September, Suicide Prevention Month, you know, obviously, you know, suicide is a frightening reality, and you know, and yet it is oftentimes on the minds of people, and particularly more and more nowadays on the minds of young people, and sometimes we can feel overwhelmed by that, by the whole reality of suicide or suicidal thoughts or depression, and yet what you've suggested are some very common sense things that we can all do that can make a significant difference in the lives of other people and help them have that sense of connectedness.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think
so yeah, go ahead.
I just was going to say, I really do think it's important. And if it reminds me of John Paul II, St. John Paul II now, where he would say, "Be not afraid." And if
Yeah.
there's ever, if you're seeing behavior that you haven't seen before, you know, increased sleeping or increased agitation or irritation, don't be afraid to talk about it and have a conversation about it. And even if you think someone may be suicidal, really have a discussion, draw them into a discussion, and you can even ask. Research shows that asking somebody about suicide, if they're having suicidal thoughts, it doesn't increase that for them. And so it's a way to help them talk about difficult times, and also just to make that assessment if they really are considering suicide or not.
All those things that you've talked about, Lori, are ways that we open the door for someone else, and again, there are things that we all can do, you know, and yes, you know, that when we need that, it's important to go to, you know, healthcare professionals or mental health care professionals, but there are things that you and I and all of us can do to help create healthier environments for one another, and to help those who are struggling to be able to have a ray of light and hope. So again, with that in mind, let's remember to pray for one another during this pandemic, to ask the Lord's blessings and mercies upon our families, and pray that we can be the messengers of that mercy and comfort and support to one another. For more information, please go to the diocesan website and see what is it that all of us can do to be better companions and in the journey of faith. So God bless you, and thanks for joining us.